Dynamic Friction Company. We're breaking the law.
All right, so welcome back to another edition of Tech Talks with DFC. And, we've got our run-in with the laws, but this time it's different. I'm Dan Bizonsky, sales guy for DFC, Dino Crescentini, our expert parts guy. And Dino, today we're going to talk about our police program, which we've actually already had for a long time, but nobody seems to know about it. A lot of municipalities do know about it, but not a lot of them do. So,
well, yeah, that's true. And as we've been discussing since we've started this whole thing, is the 5000 series program has always been application specific.
Right.
So for police applications, that's no different. We've always had police specific applications. The problem
in our 5000
in our
program.
5000 series. The problem, I guess you could say, is that no one understood that we did have police specific products. And so what we're doing now is we're coming out with a program, our 1911 series, police pads. These are the same, actually, as what we've always had, and the same that all these municipalities around the country have been having great success with. We're just underscoring the fact that now they're specific for police.
Well, and what we're referring to is, Dino and I go back and forth, right? It's a typical argument about sales and marketing versus product, where we came out with this 5000 platform-specific formulation for our friction and our rotors, our entire brake offering. But because it was within the OE brand, a lot of municipalities kept asking us, hey, do you have a police-specific program? And I kept asking Dino, hey, people aren't really aware that we have this police program because it's in our 5000 OE-specific program, because police cars, police vehicles now come with a very specific type of brake system that goes along with specific pads and specific rotors. So here we are now breaking that program out as a police branded program that we've had all along, and want to tell you about the features and benefits and how that differs from a regular OE pad for, let's say, a Ford Explorer or Chevy Tahoe versus a police specific Ford Explorer, Chevy Tahoe.
Yeah, and it's something that's increasingly more important because, for example, here, you got a 2016 Ford Explorer. Back in the old days of 2016, virtually all police vehicles were just modified standard vehicles. In other words, they took a standard Explorer, changed the brake pads, and called it a day. There was some modification to the caliper as well to bring more air between the pad and the caliper, but that was pretty much it. The size and weight of the brake systems were identical.
So the systems were identical from a regular Ford Explorer to a police Ford Explorer, but maybe they were just changing up to a heavy-duty pad.
Heavy-duty pad. I mean, the Chevy Tahoe, they had a slight change in the rotor, but again, it was virtually the same in terms of mass and certainly diameter. Calipers were the same. Yes, they put a heavy-duty pad in there, but that's it. That paradigm no longer worked. Police were having problems. Police fleets were having problems in pursuit conditions. Basically, the systems would overheat, they would lose their brakes, and
a lot of noise complaints.
There were noise complaints, and at the end of the day, the perpetrator got away, right? So what's been happening is, and I think the first vehicle to do that was the Dodge Charger. They said, okay, you know what? We got to break this mold. We got to go to something that's specific for these applications.
Okay.
So the Charger went to a completely different brake system, larger rotors, more mass, very specific brake pads. Again, as you mentioned, that was in the 5000 program, but we never highlighted it. The Explorers followed suit. I think it was in 2019 or 2020. They changed the vehicle across the board, but when they went to the police version, they put a heavily upgraded brake system. Let me give you an indication. We have some samples here that I want to show you.
Please.
So the early Explorers had this rotor here, okay? It actually looks pretty trick. It's got, a vented hub and all that. But at the end of the day, it just didn't do the job. So
this is like a regular stock Ford Explorer.
This is the original
rotor.
Ford Explorer rotor that actually this vehicle still has installed.
And just like a regular street-driven non-police vehicle.
Correct.
Okay.
So because of the police conditions, they actually made a change to this rotor, which is now a rotor that's more mass. It's probably about 4 pounds heavier. And so what they're doing by putting more mass in the rotor is it can absorb more heat. So, and distribute it more evenly throughout the rotor to eliminate the possibility of brake fade. It still wasn't enough. And actually what they did on the new version is come out with another rotor, which you can see, here, let's hold it side to side.
It's substantially heavier.
It's substantially heavier.
It's a lot bigger.
It's got a larger diameter, and you can see this sort of V shape in the fins. It's got a very specific vane technology. Plus it's high carbon. So all of these contribute to a situation where it can stand more heat, especially in a pursuit condition where you're on the brakes, off the brakes at very high speeds. So not only does the Ford do that, the Chargers do that, the new Tahoes did that. They have a very large rotor, I think a 410 millimeter rotor.
Okay.
Different caliper, 6-piston caliper. I mean, these are basically like racing brake systems.
Okay.
Okay. And
the Dodge Durango
and the
as well.
Durango has a completely different brake system than the standard Durango. So everyone's really focusing on getting the job done in these police pursuit conditions.
Got it.
DFC has been there all along for this the whole time. Right. We've been following this. We've been seeing what they've been doing with both rotor dimensions and metallurgy. We've been looking at what they've been doing with the friction materials, with the calipers, everything, the whole envelope, and applying the very best technology to meet with the needs of all the police vehicles that are out there in the market.
And so I know for those municipalities that did realize that we have this and have been using it very successfully, they talk about the demands that they put on their vehicles and what they need from brakes for their vehicles, right? They need something that lasts, right? So that the vehicle isn't down and they can be on the road, keeping everything in order. They need it to be quiet, right? And also needs to be within a certain price point, right?
You've got another thing, it's got to perform almost
and it's got to perform
like a high performance, not a race car, but a high performance vehicle. So
well, they're typically going after race cars.
Exactly.
Right?
If they're chasing me, then they are for sure.
Well, they're probably gonna stop you now with these brakes, right?
Well, that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah. So
we just hope they don't have DFC brakes on there.
Or I hope they do. Please use our brakes so we can stop them. So I would say that really this is the pad and the envelope that's been the most difficult to develop because you have to meet so many different demands, especially like I was going to say on the price point.
There's a cost constraint.
There's a cost constraint. Municipalities have budgets. They have to meet within the preventative maintenance schedule, so that's on the wear side.
Right.
And so far, what we've been told from the municipalities that are using these, they're actually lasting longer, especially on the Chevy Tahoe.
Oh, I mean, that thing, I hope I don't offend anyone, but that thing's been a disaster. They're lasting 7, 8, 10,000 miles. And we are consistently seeing results where we're getting told we're lasting 25 to 30% more than the OE pads.
Versus OE.
While keeping all the same performance parameters, by the way.
Got it.
So
yeah, there's no sacrifices on what we're doing.
Yeah, that's a pretty mean feat.
Yeah, so that's something to consider. I don't know that we have any hard facts or we've actually gone and justified it.
That's what they're telling us.
There's enough municipalities that are telling us that they're getting about 20 to 25% more mileage with the same extreme uses on the road than what they did with the original pads.
Correct.
And they're within a much lower price point than an OE pad.
Correct.
So yeah, I appreciate it. Really, you can't go back to what the aftermarket used to do, where it was just, hey, slap on a heavy duty pad onto this vehicle, and you get away with it. Now you have to have specific formulations, not only on the brakes, but also on the rotors for those police vehicles.
Well, the OEs have done what they've done to upgrade the systems, and it's up to us in the aftermarket to step up and meet those demands as well. And here at DFC, that's exactly what we've done.
Great. So, well, thank you, Dino. Appreciate it. And DFC, breaking the law.